We have some folks here. We've got Daniel, Paula, Rena, and Jacob. Rena and Jacob are here from Des Moines, Iowa. They are part of the, they're at the Berrigan House, part of the Catholic worker movement.
Yeah.
Daniel is an educator, has taught extensively in the Third World. He's just returned recently from Haiti. So, and it's great to have Paula up here because she's so radical that she got thrown out of the Green Party. All right. This country and this world face many problems. Two overshadow all the rest. They're a matter of life and death. They're existential threats. Either one could end civilization and possibly kill everyone and everything. Climate change and nuclear holocaust. And the clock is close to midnight on both. Most people know climate change is accelerating, but what they may not realize is how bad it can actually get. Most people don't know that we're in a new arms race, and that the renewed antagonism with Russia puts us at risk of nuclear annihilation, as much at risk as we were during the Cold War. The situation is different, but it's very unstable, and considering all the near misses we've had in the past, it's just a matter of time. Yes, we're on a runaway train to our own doom. We have to find a way to derail this train, lay down new tracks in a new direction, a direction with a future. Okay, the question, of course, is how are we going to do that? Well, we need a movement. The People for President campaign is the lightning strike that could ignite this movement. Merely electing a new conductor on a runaway train is not going to do it. The tracks are set. So we're going to give voters a real choice, a chance for real change. When they go to the polls next year, they can say, none of the above, only from below, the people for president. The people for president, what does that mean? It means that we'll be voting for an ideal, not a person. It means a renaissance of democracy. It means the people taking matters into their own hands. It means taking power from those who clearly don't know what they're doing. The system is failing us, and the powers that be won't see it or can't see it because it's working just fine for them. Well, if they continue in power, blind to reality, they will seal their own fate as well as ours. Our goal, the People for President campaign, is to elect the next president. A president worthy of our confidence and trust, selected through an openly democratic and untainted process. This new leader will have the wind at her back, having been delivered with a mandate from the people for profound change. A sweeping agenda backed by a vigorous movement insisting that the politicians get behind it or get defeated. We start discussing this agenda now, engaging more and more people as we go, until we complete it in time for the general election campaign a year from now. The collective wisdom and galvanized energy of the people can and will recognize the major issues confronting the nation, act together to generate and fulfill the needed public policies. Along the way, we will select slates of delegates pledged to the People for President campaign who will shape the final agenda. These delegates will also have the responsibility of choosing our eventual nominee for president. Our nominee will not be any of the candidates who are waving their hands right now and saying, I should be the one. The reason is they all represent the establishment to greater or lesser degrees and will be powerless to change the status quo even if they say they want to. The present incarnation of the Republican Party is so extreme that it has insanely doubled down on fossil fuels, accelerating to a tipping point of no return, going from climate catastrophe to climate cataclysm. When you think about it, this qualifies Donald Trump and the Republican Party he leads as the most dangerous man and the most dangerous organization in human history, bar none. Well, what does this make the Democrats? Silent partners. Silent by only speaking out sometimes, when they should be shouting constantly in opposition. Silent by not condemning the corrupt system of which they are a part. Silent in not offering an alternative plan, an alternative vision. And any candidate that wants to be the standard bearer of this Democratic Party without taking it to task silences hope. The People for President campaign intends to transform the Democratic Party, to elevate the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, as Paul Wellstone used to call it, the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, to the leadership of the party. We're not going to break the rules in order to do this, just bend them a little. Our strategic plan is to enter as many forerunners in the Democratic Party caucuses and primaries as will be needed to earn at least 2,026 delegates, which are the required number to win the nomination at the Democratic Convention in 2020 in July. Who we're calling forerunners will be pledged to the People for President campaign and will run on the ballot in various states, each collecting delegates as voting takes place. It's the favorite son type of thing that we're kind of all familiar with. Our delegates will then convene in advance of the formal convention. From now until then, we will encourage everyone to recommend candidates for us to consider as our nominee. What attributes and experience might we be looking for? Will he or she be intelligent and articulate? Might this person have proven leadership skills and integrity? Perhaps have qualities like compassion and humility. The first state to vote is Iowa, as most of us know, on February 3rd, about 6.5 months from now. Lightning strikes when we come out of nowhere and win in Iowa. Once we do that, a movement is born. And the door's wide open to take this campaign all the way to the White House and beyond, pointing to take control of Congress by 2022. This is much more possible than it might seem. The fact is, it should only take about 35,000 votes to win in Iowa, less than a lot of city council races. Fundamental electoral campaign dynamics, and I'm familiar with them, I've been involved in a lot of campaigns, favor a campaign such as ours, and we will position ourselves to leverage them. Surprisingly, less than 20% of eligible voters actually attend the caucuses. It's amazing, as important as Iowa is, only 20% of the people turn out. And the conventional campaigns always concentrate on the ones who have a history of turning out. The People for President campaign will reach out to the other 80%. People who tend to be of lower income and who don't have much faith in politicians. I wonder why. The politicians who routinely ignore them and their struggles. We will give them a reason to vote. We will campaign exclusively on just one predetermined policy program, 22 in 2020. 22 in 2020 has two components. The first is an immediate raise in the minimum wage to $22 an hour. The second is a federal jobs program to meet urgent needs, providing jobs to anyone who is unemployed or underemployed. These jobs will include full health insurance for worker and her family at no cost. Well, of course, we're going to hear, how are you going to pay for it? You know, the People for President campaign is going to go on the attack on this this and not be on the defensive. It's an ironic self-indictment that the 1% who control, they dominate our politics and they control more wealth than the bottom 50% of us combined. Yet they'll still maintain that there's not enough money to fund programs for the common good or support people who are struggling. You know, there's a myth that we're all familiar with that anybody can make it in America. It's a land of opportunity. Well, there's also an adage that those of us in sort of activist circles are familiar with called, we speak truth to power. Well, the People for President campaign is going to speak truth to the powerless and say, it's not your fault. There's another myth that we got to bust that you're certainly familiar with, and that is that America is a force for good in the world. We don't even have to talk about the past, we can talk about the present, which is the hardship and suffering that we're putting the people of Venezuela and Iran through right now. Right now. The saber rattling on Iran. It doesn't change the fact that most Americans believe that we're a force for good. We have to become, American has to become what we think we are, not what we've become. It has to happen. The big lie is that there's not enough money to do what we need to do in this country. If we look at our history for a moment, the colonies were prospering. They had their own paper currency. It wasn't backed by gold or anything. The King George outlawed it because he was losing political control. And it's one of the things that led to the American Revolution. Lincoln, when he needed to fund the Civil War, went to the New York City bankers, and they said they'd be happy to give it to him, but they were going to charge him 24 to 36% interest for the money. We now pay, as of 2018, we pay $371 billion in interest every year to Wall Street banks for the privilege of using our own money. Lincoln said, well, we have the Constitution gives us the power. Congress can mint money, so we did. They're called greenbacks. And we won the war with greenbacks. We can issue greenbacks for a Green New Deal. We absolutely can do. It's a big lie that we don't have enough money. Yeah, what if we cut the military's budget by 50% in 5 years? Could that be a down payment? And the people, are the people going to fund another war like Iran and Iraq if it's up to them, to the tune of $5 trillion? All right, well, in closing, mentioning Abraham Lincoln, what has come down to is we got a choice between, which has to be called fascism, and democracy. There's no middle ground here. Lincoln, at his Gettysburg Address, after the slaughter of all the people there, he said, let's make this last full measure of devotion that these soldiers gave, so that democracy of the people, by the people, and for the people should not perish from the earth. Well, if we don't bring it back now, if we don't revive democracy, not only is democracy going to perish from the earth, but life itself might perish from the earth. That's where we're at. What are we going to inherit? Is it even going to be habitable? Are we going to have a scorched, irradiated earth? Or are we going to have something that resembles what Martin Luther King imagined and fought for, which is a beloved community? I was fortunate to have lunch with Dorothy Day when I was 12 years old, in Tivoli, New York, overlooking the Hudson. And Jacob and Rena are part of her legacy. She started a movement, the Catholic Worker Movement. One woman with an indomitable spirit, fought for peace, fought for the dignity of every human being. She had in closing, she had something she used to say. Love, in reality, is a harsh and dreadful thing compared to love in dreams. We have to sacrifice. You have to answer the call. This is the call. Where's the front line? Where can we wage peace? I'm telling you where it is. This is the call. We have to fight, and we have to fight now. Thank you very much. I hope you'll join with us on the People for President campaign. Thank you, guys.